All right, as we continue to have our pulse firmly on the happenings in Nasrec today, SABC News anchor Naledi Muleo is on standby there to give us some of the latest. So Naledi, so many conversations around delays yesterday. It's day 2 today. Can we expect something different? Maybe things to start on time?
Well, good morning to you, Mpolisi. Actually, having arrived this morning and speaking to our very own political editor, Mzwandile Mpeche, it became quite apparent as he had to share that the registration process is not even quite complete yet, even as we get into day 2 of the conference. I mean, so many items on the program for the conference that was set down for yesterday, a lot of those not being complete. One of the big ones, of course, that we did see happen is the political statement delivered, or political report rather, delivered by President of the party just yesterday. A lot of the items that were meant to be taking place yesterday now only set to take place today. Credentials checking a very big part of that list. But there's been a massive amount of conversation on social media, not just around the delays, but also around service delivery in the country on the sidelines of the 55th National Conference of the party. And for what social media is saying, we speak now to Stembiso Stole, social media specialist here at the SABC. Good morning to you, Stembiso. I think a big thing has been service delivery. So people concerned about what's happening inside, but saying our lives go on.
Good morning, Naledi. It's going to be a long day once again.
100%.
You are correct there. The sentiment on social media is that we see it's changing. Everyone was looking forward to the conference, but people are now really reflecting the challenges that they have. We have Masingita, who sent a tweet this morning saying she hasn't had power from Monday, right? And her not having power, even today, she doesn't have power. She tagged the Gauteng Premier, Panyaza Lusufi, and in anticipation that, of course, he will then respond, or the city will respond. As you can see on that tweet, simply saying, we have had no electricity since Monday morning, and to date, there isn't power. And that is actually some of the issues that people are experiencing on the ground. As we go to the next one then, Naledi, it goes on again to say, unfortunately, the ANC provincial government are busy with the, with the conference, and municipal issues are not attended to. And then that on its own, now the sentiment is to say, we need service.
Yeah, we're gonna come back and look at more of those tweets, because there has been so much discussion on social media. But let's continue our conversation with SABC social media specialist Stembiso Stole Ujobe, as he brings us, what the conversation has been on social media, particularly on the sidelines of this conference. Many looking at it, but a lot of them saying, we have life outside of this conference. People complaining about water, potholes, basic service delivery.
Definitely. You'll recall that as SABC, we spent some time a few weeks back at El Dorado, where we're talking about the gang-related issues there. The community there really saying the station commander must leave, the place. I recall Iman was doing that broadcast. The community members talking about gang-related issues. And Bongani Baloyi, who's with Action SA, sent a tweet to saying, of course, we wouldn't know the exact number of the police that are deployed here at the ANC conference, but his tweet that he sent was to say there are a certain number of police that are going to be deployed at this conference. As you can see on the screen, there will be more than 500 police officers at the Nasrec to ensure safety for ANC conference. Just imagine the same response for gang-related challenges in Eldos. It's a valid point in terms of just looking at the issue, El Dorado, the lack of policing, the issue of drugs and all of that. So those are some of the sentiments in between. Yeah,
and you've got more sentiments coming from opposition leaders, I believe.
Definitely, it might, this is an ANC conference, but that doesn't mean the opposition, those who are in the political space, are not commenting. We saw a tweet today, this morning, from Musi Maimane saying, dear South Africa, there is life after ANC. Right? And you can read that in different ways, in different contexts, but there, as you can see on our screen, that's the tweet there. He's someone who's vocal, we know his political background, and he's someone who always has views, and a lot of people now echoing that to say, actually, you are telling the truth. There is life after the ANC National Conference.
What I found particularly interesting is how the discussion on social media has turned into, I suppose, in response to what the president said last night, the president of the African National Congress. We have to say that in context, because now we're speaking within the context of the ANC, where President Cyril Ramaphosa last night in his political statement talked about the unification of the party, but a very strong statement that he made, wherein he went on to say that the disunity in the party is not caused by members of the party, but rather by the leadership of the party. Very strong words, and I believe quite a response to that as well on social media.
Definitely, and that similar sentiment was also echoed by Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. I'll always make that reference because in the build-up, we spoke to different leaders within the ANC, and she did say that unity is very important, and that besides this conference, everyone must really unite. And then there's another comment there, political elites in the ANC are going to collapse this national conference. There's that sentiment as well to say there's certain people who are here not with good intentions. We had Ace Makashule there simply saying those, ANC delegates, when they participate in the voting process in this conference, they should look for those, who any behavior that is un-ANC in between.
Yeah, if you look back at just yesterday's dealings as the president of the party was about to really get into his political statement, the former president of the party, Jacob Zuma, making quite a grand entrance, seemingly interrupting that political statement by the president. Is that what is being viewed as the attempt to collapse the conference? And that, of course, is going to be the big question.
You are correct then, lady. You recall that the president was about to deliver his political report. The former president, Jacob Zuma, walked in, and the delegates, particularly also from KZN, chanting, and all of that in between. And then you had the national chairperson, Gweta Mantashe, coming there saying security must come in to really monitor that in between. So there's heavy police presence within, and we'll be here throughout, and we'll see how things go.
I believe that part of the discussion as well has been looking forward to what happens post the conference. We've talked about life after the conference, but after this, the party has another 5 years to, I suppose, renew itself and get itself ready for even the new leadership. Obviously, a lot of discussions around who are the front runners, even for deputy president, right, of the party. The likes of Oscar Mabuyane, Paul Mashatile, Ronald Lamola, vying for that position of deputy president. Could it mean that in the next 5 years, they could be running for the position of president of the party? But what is being said about the next 5 years for the party?
You are correct, Naledi. Like we said, the build-up was we're looking forward to the conference. These are the key issues. They must discuss policy. They must discuss issues that will really concern us as a community. It's no secret that we're going to the national national elections in 2024. As you can see on our screen, after all is said and done, I can't wait for the listing of incoming NEC in between. And they're now projecting, we're going to look forward to what's going to happen in the next 5 years. Our issue is going to be concerned because this is the ruling party, and those will be elected in between. Some of them within the delegates are part of the government, and the issue of water, the issue of pit toilets, the issue of load shedding. So those are some of the things to say. You have your own conference there, but now we would like you to look into the issue of sex workers. Those are some of the things that they're looking to say. When are they going to decriminalize that?
Yeah.
The issue of policing in between.
Yeah, well, they've gotten into those closed sessions this morning, and we're really hoping that in the next press briefing, we certainly will hear what the outcomes have been. A lot of them, of course, are going to be around the processing of credentials of some of the delegates that are in attendance, but particularly around the reports that are meant to be delivered as well. We know that the Treasurer General, Paul Mashatile, set today as well to deliver his financial report for the party. And that, of course, going to be quite a discussion when we get the outcomes of what was in that report, considering the tough times that the party certainly has had. You saw even Samkele Maseko there as he spoke to Gwen Ramakgopa, coordinator of the office of the ANC SG, asking her if in the next 5 years the party is going to be able to pay the salaries of some of its staff members. And if you look at social media as well, you're able to follow some of the activists within the party, the likes of Mvusimvala, who certainly over the past few years has been leading that cause to get the salaries of workers paid, going out onto social media and saying they are voting for the candidate that they believe will look after the interests of the staff of the African National Congress as well. There is also going to be the outcomes of the Integrity Committee report that is going to shed some light on what the decision is going to be for the party on how to deal with disciplinary processes within the party, what that means for leaders within the party like NDZ and those who voted for the adoption of the Section Section 89 report. That process running, of course, in the National Assembly over the past week. But how do we continue the conversation on social media?
I think one needs to do, remember the SABC, we have a lot of radio stations. It's very important that people, they tune in to radio stations. Those are on their way. Also, we have SABC Plus. You'll recall, Naledi, that in the past few weeks we launched as the SABC this exciting platform for people to get the extension of this conference. So they can go to SABC Plus there, get their stream. Also on our YouTube platform, follow at SABC News, our verified Twitter account, over 2 million followers, to get what's taking place. But what we're expecting to see now is this briefing. What are going to be the outcomes, and then going forward also looking into the sentiments, the excitement, they'll be later maybe going to the nomination process, the predictions, who will make it, as you have heard from Gwen. They're actually sort of like selling herself also in terms of what is it that she can do when should she be nominated.
So it is interesting to see some of the members, trying to hold their humility but still try and sell themselves as candidates for leadership as well. But we are, of course, still waiting on that press briefing. It was meant to kick off about 6 minutes ago, but in true to form, a fashion of what this conference has looked like, a few delays there. But as soon as it gets started, we will take you live to it. Let's head back into the studio then, Polisi.